Welcome back, everyone. This is another scene in Edessa and the nightly machinations of its city's denizens. Memnon had sent word through a loyal servant in contact with another loyal servant. Chains of communications in Canite society are somewhat vicarious. Um, But not Omar, sorry, Memnon would had requested the presence of the Merchant of Bones if he was free, uh, probably bluntly, not rude, though probably in his brevity he could be misconstrued, but he asks you if would meet him at Omar Shadid's shop.
hmm Merchant of Bones will receive this, we'll say invitation. And despite how blunt it is, the Merchant of Bones can appreciate a very to the point message or word or two and not hold it against somebody. Um, he is Cappadocian after all, and they aren't the most sociable people. But the Merchant of Bones will arrive at Omar Shadid's uh, dwelling or shop, and will make his way to the first floor. And he will be escorted by a woman in armor with a sword at her hip. She seems to be just behind him in step, even though that's not very hard to do considering, the Merchant of Bones is position, well, his condition with his leg and the odd gait that he has. And once he arrives, um, and he sees Memnon, he'll just quietly turn and give a look to his ghoul, and just ask her to just stand outside, um, and to close the door behind her. And once he does that, he kind of steps in deeper into the room and stands before the neonate.
Uh, Memnon, you'd easily notice Memnon eyes your ghoul as they walk out, just briefly. Um, then I would say Memnon was sitting, just waiting patiently, and as you arrive, he'll get up and extend a hand. Say, thank you, Merchant of Bones. This was pleasant surprise that you did come. I, you have my gratitude.
Hmm. He'll take the hand and shuffle forward as he does so, and give him a handshake, and then kind of just have himself place himself in a seat. Surprised, you say? You send you send me an invitation and say you're surprised to see me. You also extend your gratitude to me. Am I that am I that much of say a disappointer? He seems to fumble through his words, his thick Turkish accent coming through the mask.
No, I do suspect that you are a man that is quite busy, so taking away from your own time and business, it is deeply appreciated.
Hmm. Well, I've been going at it for a few hours this evening and been, working on piecing, taking apart this one interesting corpse. But that's neither here nor there. What is it that you wanted to see me about?
Well, you recall our chance meeting a few nights ago where we were all interested in that particular, caravaner? 'Caravaner?
The gangrel. 'The gangrel.
Is that what he is?
Yes.
Tell me, merchant. And you see kind of Memnon like with his fingers on a adjacent table. Looks like he's making a sign of something. How do you regard that Gangrel? I don't know if that was the last time you might have seen him, but I'd like your perspective on the man.
Mm, I spent a night or two looking after him and his companion. Um, Nadim seems to be a cautious man, a very one that takes care and with much planning. I assume that this is only something that comes about due to the gangrel and how they like to survive. I would chalk it up to that, but I don't see any real difference between him and how he acts than anybody else in Odessa. He has his schemes as much as we have ours. He has, a body or two on him for whatever he's planning. Mm, the the young man with him, Raul, is an interesting fellow. He's beat up, or at least appears to be beat up. So I imagine he's probably healed by now, but he seems jubilant most of the time. I assume that he's probably Gould.
I
Or
suspected the same.
the other one, the female with the tattoos. I watched as her and uh, a group um, discuss attaining perishable goods for a long trip. So they must be heading somewhere here soon, or at least preparing to leave the town soon. And most likely with the boy, I hear how Roki is missing a son.
That would be the one. I had ran across this Raoul while he was in Nadim's company. And as everything you said regarding his lack of difference between us and other Canaanites, I do not dislike the man or disapprove of what he does in order to ensure his own survival. Simply, I calculate that it would come at a greater loss for the collective of Odessa than anything else. Simple matter of math.
Why do you think that?
Aside from just taking this Rorochi family's son, there was also a considerable amount of wealth being taken. Considering all the lives lost, which is also manpower, skills, connections, trade. He was abscond with all that wealth, which the Orochi family had planned on bringing some goods from afar in the east back here. All that wealth just gone. Feel like it would be perhaps not a crippling blow, but an ailment when one is already injured. I'm sure you would understand what I mean more than anyone else.
Hmm. So you believe they might be using the boy to coordinate attacks on caravans belonging to House Rochi?
Didn't consider that one, but I do know that the, the actual physical currency of wealth, the coin, was placed in that boy's hands. Ran across Nadim, now it is gone. And with
Hmm.
that gone, it's not just the wealth of the Rochi family, but also some of the city's money lenders.
Hmm.
It'd be very hard to get new projects started if all that gold just up and disappeared.
Indeed. And then that would put the house most likely out of, demote them from their status. Hmm. It would not be good for them to hear that their wealth has been pilfered from them, especially by one of their own.
Hmm.
Hmm. It's a good way to gain resources and money as far as a vampire is concerned.
Oh, yes, I do applaud his ingenuity. That's not the problem. It's just a matter of the money goes, and well, Nadine does not seem to be the kind that wants to stick around and spend it.
Hmm. So you're more worried about the more common families, the ones that put in the work and receive the coin and basically put it back into Odessa.
Mm, yes and no. It is a matter of a certain amount of gold resides here in the city, and it gets passed back and forth hand to hand. Some nights some have a lot, some nights some have little. So long as there is gold in the city, business keeps booming.
Hmm.
If that all just disappears, well, it's like the city was sacked without a fight.
Interesting. I don't know if I totally agree with the fact that basing the wealth of one family being taken from them basically dooming Odessa, but there is a certain amount of principle to it. You just don't want strangers coming into your city and then taking some of the people for granted and then running off with it and doing whatever with it. I can see the problem with that, and to a point I understand. I've dealing with that currently myself, though the details I won't get into you about it just because it's neither here nor there with you, but I am interested what you have planned to stop this, perhaps?
Well, if I did tell you my exact plan, that would make you an accomplice, and in the event that this could blow back on me, I would hate to have you mixed up in things.
Hmm, I guess so, or take the reward fully for yourself, right?
No, no, truly. What I want out of this, not a matter of gold. If there was a lump sum, I'd gladly give it away. What I have my eye on is the future. But if you wish to know, I did only the thing I thought a citizen with a good conscience would do. That is inform and console his father, that gather his men, gather people who have put an interest on this expedition to the east. They are out of work. Why should they stay at home and sulk when they can actually go out can do something about it. They can drag their boy back, demand their money. They could find, perhaps, who he spent that money on, if you see where I'm going.
Hmm. Basically, you want to follow the money to see who is pulling the strings.
I have no doubt that it was Nadim. I just want him to have a reckoning with the people he's robbing.
Gotcha. I thought about much, but then again, I almost thought about the traditions as well. If they come across him and they don't kill him, well, that could be and they do kill him, that could be a problem.
Hmm. That is true. If they discovered his true nature, let alone what they may see during this altercation.
We would have to, you would have to ensure that, well, if you just want to handle business with Nadim and have Nadim handled, you might have to sacrifice the house for it, or at least whatever men they send out there, and not for them not to come back. That might even include the child, unless you can find somebody to, wipe his mind. But then again, you'll also have to deal with a child who might be bonded and somebody who, or at least a mortal who pines for the vitae. Well, that is a chore in its own. There's a lot to think about here.
Yes, yes, indeed. Your words are wise.
Truth be told, it might be better just to maybe find a way to separate Nadim from the boy and Nadim from his accomplice, the woman with the tattoos on her face, and take them out one by one.
You see Memnon, like his hands are steepled and he's thinking with his fingers on his chin. Hmm. Hmm. Yes. If there is a part that you would want to play in this, then the only reward possibly I can offer you in return is what we find. The gold is what is important to the Rochi family. I've spoken with them. Their boy is just as good as dead.
Really?
Perhaps the mother might give him a Hail Mary at the last second. Who knows? As for his father, though, it was done with him.
Mr. Bones is going to pee any of that. If you don't mind.
No, man.
I guess I'll do dice roller one. Which did you name this scene anything yet?
Yeah, a matter of business.
I got, if anything, probably one success. So, no, two.
Okay. It seems that Memnon is coming off as genuine as his own interpretation was of House Rochi, the lady and lord of the house, or whatever their surnames are. So yeah, so he definitely seems to he seems to be honest in that he believes that the boy's life really doesn't matter to them at this point. Memnon would elaborate some just to make it clear. They're in so much debt that I offered them a marriage between friend of mine and one of their daughters. Even if I waved the dowry away, they are facing possible slavery due to the amount of money that they owe. So it would be a matter of me having to pay off their indebtors.
Hmm. And that'll get you into the influence of the nobility. That's a good idea.
They do have three. And that gives you a little bit of a smile.
What exactly would you want from me if I was to help you? What are you lacking in?
Primarily information. Don't know where Nadim resides. I do now know what clan he hails from. Don't quite know the measure of the man yet.
Hmm.
As for arms and force, well, we can all use some of that. But I think what Sir Rochi could bring might be enough with perhaps my help and anyone else who's interested in a hands-on approach.
Hmm. Hmm. He just thinks about this for a moment. Truth be told, I have no men I wish to throw at this. The concern of the boy and, well, the money is not really much of an issue to me. I can, however, probably provide you information. Although the lengths I would have to go for it was not easy and taxing.
Hmm. I
If you
understand.
prefer constant like a vigilant watch over them, well, I would have to ask for a major boon for that. But if you want to just know his location and wherever he may go, no matter whether it's here or, well, if he dies or goes to here to, across the desert, that is not a problem. I would only ask for maybe a minor boon for that. It is not a much of a problem.
And with my skills, what would you ask of me in return? Or is this a boon that should be named at another time?
Hmm, something named at a something at another time.
Very well. All I would ask is just to know where he lays his head during the day in the city. I want him to think that he is safe. That he has
Hmm.
well played his hand.
Okay. And you are agreeing to the minor boon for this?
Yes, I agree.
Not a problem. You will find Nadim in the Jewish quarters, and he'll give such and such a house, a such and such location. He'll give you like in depth, you know, color of the fucking walls, stuff like that. You basically get the exact location from, at least from what he knows of. And then you'll get the location of a house or room in Riverside where the woman resides.
Okay. Okay. So one in Riverside, the woman's in Riverside, and Nadim's in the Jewish Quarter.
Mm-hmm. Um, let me just read up. Let me read this first, real quick, just to make sure. He will say that Nadim tends to visit the house at night, um, going to and from wherever. Um, it's a little hard for him to kind of find out where he sleeps during the day, if only because the ritual he would have to do would make him required to be awake during the day. Um, so I can probably try to. You know what? I'll do a ritual here real quick because it shouldn't really take that long. Uh, it would be diff 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, he would give you, I guess, the location where he sleeps at the day. He would just do it like right before he goes to sleep. Um, so you can tell MA about that. Um, let's see. He'd also tell you that the boy is planning to sneak himself out of the city. Yeah,
Okay.
and that they've been having meetings with a small congregation of people, probably other people that they are working with about the trip, like 5 to 6 individuals. Don't have their names yet because Emmy hasn't given it to me yet.
Interesting. Interesting. Yes. Memnon will ask. I did consider that perhaps I should broach this subject to members of Clan Gangrel. If I could persuade them to see that Nadim's tactics, if in his philosophy he speaks true, that the life of this city is no more as important as their lives on the road. Well, hopefully, they would either intervene or sanction this action against him.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say that if you were able to do something like that, I would say it would almost be an act of God. They are, even though they might be strangers, they are clanmates, and I would assume, or I would think that, if it was somebody of my clan, that we would stick together as much as possible. Not to say that it isn't, that you don't have a chance, but if you could do that, well, then you might be quite possible of much more, or anything. Maybe even miracles to an extent. You'll have to be careful.
Indeed, the Gangrel are an honorable clan. Hopefully, they can be persuaded to see that for those who will call Odessa home, whether it is behind the walls or outside, letting anyone just come in here and pilfer the wealth without so much as a notice, well, they might as well steal the bone from their maw.
Hmm. That's a good way to put it. But if that is your plan, I wish you all the luck as far as the gangrel goes. As much as everything else, though, I believe you might be able to handle that. You might need a few extra hands as far as manpower, but because I don't know if you've seen gangrel tactics or how sturdy they are, but they are one of the sturdier amongst us.
Will not underestimate my opponent.
Good. Your life could depend on it. Like I said, if you can separate them, that would be the best. If that's how you decide to handle things.
Well, perhaps I'll even settle for. Actually, let me not like put it that way. Memnon would say, well, as long as an appropriate portion of the wealth stays here in the city, then I don't need Nadim to die. Perhaps they can intervene on a much more diplomatic resolution.
That might be ideal. But then again, people do not put their machinations into effect to come out with nothing in the end. Be prepared to fight for it if need be.
Indeed. Still so much I need to learn, but I believe this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe.
Very well. Sir, thank you for your time and your counsel. When it is time for you to call upon me for that boon, I will answer it.
Not a problem. If you need me to check on where their whereabouts are again, let me know. It is not much of an issue.
Perhaps someday you can pass by my shop. You are a doctor, and a doctor does need tools. Perhaps I can set you up with something.
I'll definitely let you know. Where is your shop again? I don't even know if you told me you had a shop.
I work within the guild's hall, amongst the smiths.
Ah, very well. Sister Johanna used to spend much of her time there. Not much of an issue. I'll come look for you then.
Sister Joanna. I don't think I was introduced to her.
Yes, she was of clan Toreador. You should ask your clanmate, Sister Madeline, about there. They were very close. Much closer than perhaps her and I were when Johanna was here. They seem to have much history together. It wouldn't be fair for me to give you an introduction to her without, knowing as much as maybe Johanna or Madeline would.
I see.
Just know that she is no longer here, and maybe that's for the better.
No longer here in the city or no longer here upon this earth?
No longer here in the city.
I see. I guess with that, Memnon would escort you out if you were to leave first. And yes, he would just remain in Omar's shop contemplating the business that lies ahead. And with that, I think we can call it a scene. And this was Dessa. So thank you, watchers, for watching, and the players for playing. We'll see you again.